According to one contemporary Pentagon report, Spetsnaz forces were fluent in one or more foreign languages. Basic training lasted on average for 2 months. Additionally, specialized training programs lasted for 3 to 4 years. Less than 10% of selected troops managed to complete the entire program. For service in Afghanistan, Spetsnaz were encouraged to adapt their training to the conditions of the campaign, which would include long-range patrols, reconnaissance exercises, ambushes, and raids. In order to familiarize themselves with the terrain in Afghanistan, they were dropped by helicopters in the middle of the mountains. And after they accomplished their training missions, they had to find their own way back to base by themselves. Afghanistan was a new experience for Spetsnaz, and it also acted as a testing site for new Soviet weapons. Being an elite unit, Spetsnaz were equipped with the most advanced weapons. Spetsnaz were armed with a then-new 5.45mm AKS-74 assault rifle, equipped with a GP-25 underbarrel grenade launcher. As these were still in an experimental phase, there were many situations in which they malfunctioned. For that reason, Spetsnaz also used standard 7.62mm AK-47 assault rifles. Other infantry weapons used were standard Soviet weapons including RPK light machine guns, DSHK heavy machine guns, SVD sniper rifles, and AGS-17 automatic grenade launchers. Special AKMS assault rifles with short barrels and silencers were used for stealth operations. Spetsnaz forces also used the 6-round PSS silent pistol for reconnaissance and assassination missions. The pistol was effective at 82 feet and was effective in suppressing sound. Unlike other silenced pistols, the PSS was silenced using a sealed cartridge system. For reconnaissance missions, Spetsnaz used equipment that were products of the latest Soviet technology. For the first time, Spetsnaz used gadgets like laser rangefinders, night binoculars, and night vision goggles. For sabotage operations, Spetsnaz used equipment unavailable to standard troops. These included radio-controlled explosives. One set that could be activated by command posts at distances away of 1,240 miles. The greatest improvements were made by means of tactical communication. Spetsnaz soldiers in Afghanistan were equipped with the latest radio devices that enabled constant communication with commands at large distances. Advanced weaponry and equipment were the only thing that separated Spetsnaz from the rest of the army in their appearance. Spetsnaz didn't have their own distinct military uniform, but were using uniforms of the unit they were assigned to. They looked exactly as any other soldier in order to keep their existence and operations clandestine. There were some modern rucksacks, boots, and loading equipment that were deployed, but these were very scarce. The role of Spetsnaz in Afghanistan was not in accordance to their original mission. They were sent there to reinforce the standard units who had difficulty fighting the guerrilla forces in the Afghanistan mountain regions. In Afghanistan, Spetsnaz were deployed for a variety of operations. The invasion of Afghanistan began with a Spetsnaz operation. This was the famous Operation Storm 333, with the objective to assassinate Afghan President Hafizullah Amin in order to install a puppet government. On December 27, 1979, GRU and KGB Spetsnaz teams Thunder, Ram, and Zenith assaulted Tajabek Palace dressed in Afghan uniforms. The majority of the Spetsnaz soldiers were Tajiks and Uzbeks who spoke Farsi. Spetsnaz swiftly overcame the resistance of the president's guard, located the president, and killed him. At the same time, other Spetsnaz teams secured key government and military centers in Kabul, including the airport. The effectiveness of Spetsnaz units in the operation resulted in minimal casualties. In the first few years of the war, Spetsnaz were primarily engaged in the protection of their military bases and for securing bridgeheads. Initially, Spetsnaz forces were used to reinforce the standard Soviet 40th Army and Afghan forces combating the Mujahideen. As fighting continued, Soviet command realized that their standard mechanized infantry units were not capable of combating the Mujahideen guerrilla tactics, and it became necessary to engage Spetsnaz on counterinsurgency operations. Reconnaissance was a key focus for Spetsnaz forces in Afghanistan. Spetsnaz were tasked with locating insurgents' bases, ammunition stores, and command centers, often covering distances of up to 150 kilometers per day. Once these were located, Spetsnaz would usually call for reinforcements in the way of airstrikes. Spetsnaz were also engaged in combat operations. One of their most notable assault operations happened in early March 1986. With the help of mechanized infantry, the D-30 Artillery Battalion, Mi-8 and Mi-24 helicopters, and Su-25 aircrafts, Spetsnaz attacked and seized Mujahideen weapon and ammunition caches at the Sadigar Canyon. One key tactic of the Spetsnaz in combating the Mujahideen was to cut their supply lines from neighboring countries to Afghanistan, including Pakistan. The tactic was to drop Spetsnaz detachments deep into Mujahideen territory with MI